It all began the day I found that from my window I could only see a piece of sky. I stepped outside and looked around. I never dreamed it was so wide or even half as high. The time had come. Hi, everybody. Ally Waldman here. And you know what? The time had come. And the journey that I started way back when I was a 14, 13-year-old kid actually reached its journey, the journey's end, last week, last Saturday, when I finally got to meet Barbra Streisand. Hi, welcome to Sunday with Ally, the Barbra Streisand Videocast for October 21st, 2012. And as you could probably guess, I'm still a little sky high from my trip to New York and my visit to Brooklyn. And while I do feel like my journey reached an end by meeting Barbra and being able to hand her Barbra memories, the journey's not over, folks. At least not for me. See, the way I look at it, as long as Barbra keeps on working, as long as Barbra's out there singing songs, doing concerts, making movies, putting out albums, contributing, she's got memoirs she's writing, there are films she plans to direct. As long as Barbra is in the game and wants to play it, then I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing as long as I'm able to do it and follow her career and chronicle what she's doing and comment on what she's doing and share what I know with you guys, my enthusiasm and excitement for what she's doing, so that, as she says, it ain't over till the fat lady sings, and she's not that fat. Well, you know what? I'm a little bit fatter, but it ain't over until this fat lady sings. And I don't mean my little introductions. So, gosh, guys, what a week it's been. I did those two Sunday with Allies last week on Sunday and Monday for you, telling you all about my adventure in New York. I think I told you everything. It really was an amazing time. And when I realize now, in retrospect, how close it came to not coming off exactly as I expected, it is truly a case of it was meant to be. It really was. It was meant to be, because things sort of fell into place and I was able to fulfill our mission to get the book to Barbra, but also to have a moment with Barbra. And I know a lot of you wish that that's something that you could have. And trust me when I tell you that it is not an easy thing. I don't want to say that Barbra is like impossible to reach, because clearly many people have had chances, whether it's running into her at a flea market or an antique stand, or winning a contest and getting to go on the set of the Guilt Trip, like my friends, Vincent did, and he actually got to spend the day with her. Then there are other people who have won auctions, charity auctions. Linda and Leanne from the Barbra Message Board were lucky enough to go backstage, have a picture taken with Barbra, and meet her because they won one of the backstage auctions, with the money going to a very good cause. So there are opportunities, but nobody is entitled. That's one thing to bear in mind. Nobody gets it just because of who they are. Everybody has to work for it in one way or another, because Barbra's an extremely busy person. And even the night that I saw her, she was working, guys. She had just done a 3-hour concert, and I found out that right before she walked into the room where I had the privilege of introducing myself and shaking her hand and saying hello to her and telling her about the book, right before that, She was out in the arena directing the entire crew what to do, what was going to happen, where things were going. She was in 100% director mode. And believe me, the focus that that woman has to do her job and to make things work properly is unparalleled. There's a reason why when she puts on a show, it's so good, because she works really, really hard and she's extremely talented. But there's also just good old-fashioned hard work, attention to detail, and care that goes into every production. And I think that's especially true because as we've now gone through Philly, Brooklyn, Montreal, and Ottawa, the word out of Ottawa last night was that that was the best show yet. So the shows are getting better and better and better. That's not only practice, that's not only rehearsal, that's hard work. So kudos to Barbra and Richard J. Alexander and the entire crew, all the team, Il Volo, Chris Bodie, Jason Gould, Caroline Campbell, all the people involved in putting on that show are really, they're doing their job and they're putting on a great show. Supposedly the people in Ottawa were blown away. I mean, the review in the Ottawa newspaper, which was just for the first act, basically it was like, couldn't get over how amazing Barbra Streisand is. Now, the really big news coming out of Canada, those folks, happened on, I think it was Thursday night, Thursday night, which was the Montreal concert. And Richard J. had hinted that history was going to be made, at which point he had everybody on Facebook sitting on the edge of our desks, or desk chairs, to find out what was the history, what was Barbra going to do. Well, Barbra did something she's never done before. She introduced her sister, Rosalind Kind, onto the stage, and together they sang a duet in public for the first time ever. And they did the Barbra-Judy duet, Get Happy, Happy Days Are Here Again, with Roz singing the Judy part. And that first performance was very, very interesting. First of all, Roz started a little hot. And by hot, I mean she was a little bit strong. And then she had to pull it back a little bit. But they ended beautifully. And they really ended it really, really well. I also thought the staging was a little bit awkward with Barbra sitting in the chair and Roz standing. But if you check out the video from Ottawa, they're much, much better. I mean, you could just tell they worked on it. Barbra's still sitting and Roz is still standing, but they're in sync, okay? Roz is not too strong at the start. She's modulated. She's brought it down to Judy level. Barbra's brought it up to her level, and they're really connecting. And it's adorable. It's wonderful to see them singing together. And then Barbra even mentions the fact that the concert is turning into a bit of a family affair. So she's singing with Roz and she's singing with Jason in the same show. Folks, I never, ever would have thought that this would have happened. So this is truly unique and uncharted territory, and that makes Back to Brooklyn, which is, of course, is the official name of this concert tour, even more special. And as they go on from here, Vancouver, San Jose, Las Vegas, the Hollywood Bowl, Richard J. says there's more surprises. So, I don't know. Did they teach Sammy how to sing? Is Sammy going to sing Look at That Face with Barbra? Maybe Jim sing. No, we know Jim doesn't sing. By the way, I did see Jim Brolin, though, when I went to that party where I had my moment with Barbra. And trust me, folks, Jim Brolin, aging nicely. Beautiful, beautiful. So anyway, back to the concert. I did want to tell you guys something. There was, some people have still, even though Barbra's singing the two songs from Gypsy, Rose's Turn and Some People, there's still some people who don't believe that Barbra's still going to make this film. Well, I found out that Joel Silver, and if I'm repeating, I'm sorry, but Joel Silver purposely, who is the producer of this gypsy movie with Barbra, purposely spoke to the reporter for Variety and asked him to make sure to say in his review that Gypsy is Barbra's next project, which he did, that it's Barbra's next film. So I cannot tell you guys, because I don't know when they're going to start filming, but I do know that Gypsy is the next film Barbra's going to make, and we still have all the excitement of Guilt Trip coming. Remember, today is October 21st. It's still 2 months before Guilt Trip is in the movie theaters. And that 2 months, there could be a lot of news about Guilt Trip, Barbra's movie, her relationship with Seth, everything about it. And everything about this movie just screams to me that it's going to be a hugely popular and successful film. So very, very excited about the Guilt Trip. And one of the reasons why they're not talking about it now is that it's too soon. Because if you talk now, then a month from now you can't talk again. So you want to optimize your talking about a film to just about 2 to 3 weeks before it opens. Like right now, there's a tremendous amount of talk about James Bond and Skyfall, and the Adele song finally came out. All of that is because Skyfall, the new James Bond movie, is opening at the end of the month in England, and then early November in America. So they're building, they're optimizing, and that's what Barbra and her people at Paramount are doing with the Guilt Trip. In other Barbra news, and that's what we're back to doing Barbra news now, folks. Now that all the excitement with meeting her is sort of, we have to kind of move on, but then we have to get back to the news. So the other big news is Release Me charted this week. It was number 7 on the Billboard Top 200. It was the 32nd time that Barbra has had a top 10 album. That, folks, is remarkable. That is only surpassed by Frank Sinatra and the Beatles. Do you realize how... it's amazing that Barbra charts that well, because, folks, Barbra doesn't do anything to really support her albums. You don't see her on Jay Leno, you don't see her on David Letterman, you don't see her selling in commercials, you don't see her going on shows and singing a song or two from Release Me. When she was on Katie Couric, they didn't even hold up the album cover. It's like Barbra does just enough to let us know that her album is out there, and then she trusts us, her audience, to find the album, to support the album, to buy the album and buy it as gifts for the people in our lives, and to share it with everybody we know, and to basically do all the promoting of the album. Can you imagine how much more, how many more millions and millions of albums this woman would have sold if she actually got out there and promoted things and hustled things? The few albums that she's done it for, she did it for the Broadway album because she wanted to prove, that was a very unique situation. I don't know if you remember this, folks, but Columbia Records at the time did not approve of the Broadway album. It was not considered an official Columbia release towards her contract unless she sold 2.5 million copies. So Barbra was there was an incentive for her to get out there and prove to the world that Broadway music worked and that people wanted this album. And she did. She went out and she did the HBO special. She did the Barbara Walters interview that was an excellent interview that showed behind-the-scenes footage of her making the Broadway album. She did interviews. She was on a couple of magazine covers, and that album did surpass 2.5 million. It was a number 1 album, And Barbra proved her point. So that album was a case in point where she had something to prove. She also had something to prove with Higher Ground, another album which a lot of people were very, very down on. They didn't like the idea of Barbra doing an album of spiritual, uplifting, new age music, whatever they were going to call it. They didn't like it. So Barbra did the Rosie O'Donnell show. And it was a very, very big deal. And Rosie promoted the hell out of the album weeks in advance, kept talking about it. And Higher Ground was a #1 album. So those are just two examples. My point is, Barbra is listed on the list of all-time greatest album sellers, and deservedly so. But if she had, been more, if it would have been more important to her to go out there and to be a humongous album seller, she would have done concerts in support of her albums, she would have done promotion in support of her albums, and she would have sold even more copies. So everything she does, the fact that this album is the 32nd time she's in the top 10 with basically doing nothing, is a testament to the fact that everything she does has so much quality that people automatically buy her material without even having needed the hype. That's how I see it. Barbra's a brand that people can trust, count on, and know that they're going to get excellence. And even if there's a song or two they may not care for, by and large, there's going to be another, 8 or 9 that they will care for. And that album will become an important part of their home and their collection, and they're going to love it. And that's what Barbra music is all about. Speaking of Barbra music, while I was in New York, I went to see this all-star show called Hello Gorgeous that included Lorna Luft and Ann Hampton Callaway, and they were singing the Streisand Songbook. I told you guys about this last week. Well, apparently the idea of doing the Streisand Songbook is getting more popular. Ann Hampton Callaway, for example, is doing her own show. Her cabaret show is the Streisand Songbook, and she's doing an entire act built on Barbra music. But now, today, I just read on BroadwayWorld.com that Glee is thinking about doing an all Barbra episode. That would mean all the music in the show would be Streisand songs. Now, you and I know they've done a lot of Streisand songs already on Glee, but an entire show made up of Streisand music on Glee is a very cool idea. Now, they've already done it with Britney Spears twice, and between you and me, I didn't even know most of the music. They did Madonna, they did Whitney Houston. They need to do Barbra, because, having seen that Hello Gorgeous show, there is more than enough fantastic music that Glee could put together a great episode. And I'm hoping that they're going to do it. And if they were smart, and if they're listening to me, Ryan Murphy, are you listening to me? Do it before the end of the year. Do it around Christmas time. And talk about going to see Barbra's new movie, The Guilt Trip. Now, maybe Fox won't like that very much since Guilt Trip is a Paramount picture, but it would be great. It would be great, and it would be smart, because all the synergy, I talk about that all the time, folks, but it's true. All the synergy would come together. Barbra would be in movie theaters, and you'd be talking about her on Glee, and they'd be singing her music all at the same time, which is brilliant. Now, by the way, I did hear something that I kind of feel like I need to share with you. I did hear that there's a good possibility that this show, because it's doing so well back to Brooklyn, that Barbra may be taking it on the road further. And when I mean further, I mean beyond North America. She may finally be making it to South America and China and Japan and Israel, places she's never, ever sung before. And you might say, but Ally, why? Why is she doing this? Why doesn't she just take, finish up the concerts and go right into into Gypsy? Well, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, folks, but the way I look at it, and the way I think Barbra looks at it, is she's got like 11 performances lined up for the North American tour. She's already done four. Five? Five. She's already done five. Philly, two in Brooklyn. Yeah, five. She's done 5 shows already. So she's got maybe 6 more shows to do. And if Marty Ehrlichman comes to her and says, Barbra, if we do Brazil and China and Japan and Israel and maybe London, that's only 5 more shows. And she might say, well, I could do 5 more shows. Right? 5 more shows. You just look at it as 5 more shows. You don't look at it as all the travel and everything else. You just look at it as the performance. And I think that's how Barbra looks at it. And she's very, very comfortable in this show. I think she really likes her cast and her team, and it's working. Oh my God, I spoke for 21 minutes already. Let me wrap this up quickly by telling you a couple of exciting things. I was able to put Barbra Memories and also another book that I did on Barbra called Between the Grooves, which is all about Barbra's recording sessions. Both those books are now for sale on eBay. And I even figured out with Barbra Memories how to ship it internationally, where it only costs about $20 or $22, something like that, to ship it internationally if I ship it myself. So that would mean if you order the book on eBay and you, what I would then do is get a copy from the printer. I will autograph it for you if you like, and I will ship it from my home to you. And that way we bring the shipping costs down by almost $20. So I hope that is something that will make it more attractive for everybody outside the continental United States who wants to order the book. And finally, I did want to mention the thing about Between the Grooves is that I don't know if you guys know, this is a great little book. It's a great companion piece actually to Release Me, because it'll show you when all those songs were recorded and who did the sessions and just how many times things were done. Between the Grooves covers 1962 to 1993, and it's every recording session. And it tells you what she recorded, the names of the songs, and who did all the work. It's fantastic. And it's got gorgeous pictures. All color, gorgeous pictures. So go to eBay and look for those things. And, okay, checking my list. So that's it for now. I've talked 23 minutes. I think this is one of my longest Sundays with Ally ever. But what can I do? I'm excited. I know you're excited. And I will say this one last thing, folks. If you get a chance, please go to my Nothing's Impossible blog. I'm right now in a bit of a pickle with my medical insurance situation. I know you guys have heard this before. I hate telling you about it. But I'm offering a CD of Barbra photos in exchange for donations to my Nothing's Impossible project. And I would really appreciate anybody who wants to contribute. So thank you, everybody. It's almost 24. I'm going to hold out for 24 because it's a lucky number. And I'm going to say that I will see you all next week with a lot more from Sunday with Ally. Till then, have a great week. Bye-bye.